name's Gavin, and I'm here to share with you one of my weirdest and nerdiest hobbies. It's called Warhammer, and what it boils down to is, I like to play with little plastic soldiers. Warhammer is a franchise of tabletop board games that focuses around building an army of plastic soldiers and then battling them against an opponent's army. There are two versions of the game: Warhammer Fantasy, which focuses around magic, monsters, and medieval-style warfare, and Warhammer 40k, the version I play, which is a sci-fi themed game featuring aliens, tanks, and futuristic weapons. There are many different armies to choose from, 15 in Warhammer Fantasy and 14 in Warhammer 40k. Each of them has a unique art style, play style, and a set of units specific to that army. I currently own two different Warhammer 40k armies. One is called Chaos Space Marines, and one is called the Grey Knights. The Chaos Space Marine army is supposed to be a corrupt version of another popular army called the Space Marines. My second army is called the Grey Knights. I just finished assembling them recently, so I haven't had time to paint any of them. There are three parts to the Warhammer hobby. The first part is modeling. The second part is painting. And the third part is playing. Warhammer models come unassembled on these plastic sprues. You have to pop them out off of each of these things and then glue them together before they're fully assembled. Next comes painting. This is where we take the basic gray model on the left and paint it to make it look like the one on the right. Here are two models, one unpainted and one fully painted. You can see how big of a difference it makes. This is my personal favorite model that I've painted, and also the thing that got me into Warhammer. I saw this model at a game shop, and I thought that it was so cool this was something I wanted to get into. This was one of the first things that I finished painting, but it's also one of the ones that I put the most effort into. It took me about 4 to 5 hours to finish this one piece, and it's only about 1.5 inches tall. And finally, there's a very complex board game that can be played with the models that I'm going to be explaining to you next. It's a beautiful sunny spring day outside, and I'm on my way over to my friend Hans's house to play Warhammer in his basement. Our plan is to play a game and sort of show you how it's played.
Hey, my name's Hans. I'm going to be playing Eldar today against Jeff.
Okay, so it's time for the first move of the game. The game takes place in 3 phases. The first one is movement, where I can move my units a specific number of inches based on what they are. So one of my guys here is close enough to shoot at his people, and it's the second phase now called shooting phase, where you can have anybody that has a gun in your army shoot the other guys. So this one's equipped with a flamethrower, so it uses this as a determiner of what it hits. You hold it at the place where the gun is, and then anything it touches is considered hit by it. So a way that you determine if something does damage to a vehicle, each vehicle has an armor value, and this one has an armor value of 12. And you have to roll a dice to see if you can get your weapon strength to reach or exceed that armor value. So I'm shooting with a weapon with the strength of 6, so I need to roll this dice to be a 6 to even have a chance to do anything to it. So here I go. And lucky for me, that's a 6.
Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, one of my guys has something called psychic powers that he will attempt to use. So we're going to attempt to fortune this tank right here, roll 3 dice. I'm going to take the lowest 2, which is a 5, which passes.
So it's just the end of turn 2, and Hans has just finished killing almost everything I have, and I'm feeling really sad. So at this point, this is all I have left. I have this one guy, and he still has all this, so things have not gone well. Okay, the game is now over because Hans killed everything I have. The objective was to capture 4 points, but we kind of ignored that, or at least I did, and ended up dead anyway, so it doesn't matter. So as you can see, I basically didn't do anything at all to Hans's army, and he killed everything of mine, so he's pretty happy, but I'm not. So Warhammer is a game that takes a lot of time. As I said, Hans's, we started playing at about 2 p.m., a little bit before 2 p.m., and right now it is 5:15, so just that one game took about a little over 3 hours. And it's not just the playing that takes a lot of time, it's the preparation. You need to put together the models, which takes a long time sometimes if the pieces don't want to come together just right. You gotta wait for the glue to dry, and then once that's done, you gotta go through the painting process if you want them to look good, and it can take multiple hours to paint each little piece if you want to do a good job. So it's not something you want to pick up if you're looking for a quick bit of entertainment just on the side. It's something that you really have to block out a good amount of time and dedicate it to that. Warhammer has gathered a large cult following over the years, and a lot of people get really into the hobby. I'm on my way to talk to someone that's been involved with it for many years and has made a career out of it. I'm here with Neil Colley, owner and proprietor of Phoenix Games and longtime Warhammer enthusiast. So Neil, when and how did you become involved with Warhammer?
Well, Warhammer has been around for about 25 years, and when it first came out, it wasn't a game that I really wanted to play right away. The first couple editions of the rules to me were too slow moving, but then in the late 90s they came out with the third edition of the game, which caught my imagination. The rules were fast and furious. There was a lot of tactics and also a lot of dice rolling, and it just went from being, to me, a game that had no interest to a game that had a lot of interest.
Mm-hmm. And then eventually you moved on and got into the competitive scene a little bit. How did that happen?
Well, over the years I found that I was not only enjoying the game, but I was also a good player of it. And so I went to a few local tournaments and found out that I did rather well there. And just for fun, I went to a few of the national tournaments, and it took a few years, but then I suddenly, in 2008, I started winning, and I wound up winning the entire tournament circuit in 2008.
Wow. So you've been involved with the hobby for over a decade. What still keeps you interested?
It's mainly the interaction with the people. If I was just playing the game solitaire, like it was a computer game or something, I would have lost interest a long time ago. But it's one of the really nice things about this hobby is everybody has the same basic interests and are happy to game with each other. It's a very egalitarian hobby in that nobody cares what anybody does outside of gaming. They're all concerned with how well you play with others. So when people come in and hang out, it gets a social atmosphere, almost like a club or a bar without the alcohol, in that people will come in sometimes and just hang out for 4 or 5 hours just to be around their friends. And so it's a very social thing.
Okay, well, great. That's all the questions I have. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming down, and have a good day.
That's all the information I have for you. I hope this video helped explain my hobby a little bit. This is something that I really enjoy, and I'm glad I got this chance to share it with you. Also, if you recognize me in public after seeing this video, please don't beat me up.